Okay. Today I'm going to sing Narada-Muni, page 182, in this edition. 182 Narada-Muni. Srila Gurudev Ki Jai. Narada-Muni Bajaya Vina Radha-Ramana Name Narada-Muni Bajaya Vina Radha-Ramana Name Namayamani Udita Hoya Bhagat Gita Shame Namayamani Udita Hoya Bhagat Gita Shame Narada-Muni Bajaya Vina Radha-Ramana Name আমি আধারা বর্ষে গণ শবন যুগলে গিয়া বাকাত জন সগনে নাচে ভরিয়া পানাহিয়া বাকাত জন সগনে নাচে ভরিয়া পানাহিয়া নারদ-মুনি বাজয়া বীণা রাধিকা-রমণ নামে মধুরীপুরা আশবাপসি মতায়া জগতা জানে কেহ বাবা করে কেহ বা নাচে কেহ মাতে মানে মানে কেহ বাবা করে কেহ বা নাচে কেহ মাতে মানে মানে নারদ-মুনি বাজয়া বীণা রাধিকা-রমণ নামে পঞ্চবদনা নারদে ধরি প্রেমের সাগন রোলা কমলাসন নাচিয়া বলে বলো বলো হরি বলো কমলাসন নাচিয়া বলে বলো বলো হরি বলো হরি বল হরি বল হরি বল হরি বল নারদ-মুনি বাজয়া বীণা রাধিকা-রমণ নামে নারদ-মুনি বাজয়া বীণা রাধিকা-রমণ নামে সহসাননা পরম সুখে হরি হরি বলি গায়া নাম প্রভাবে মাটিল বিশ্ব নাম রস সবে পায়া নাম প্রভাবে মাটিল বিশ্ব নাম রস সবে पाया नारद मुनि भजय वीणा राधिका रमण नामे नारद मुनि भजय वीणा राधिका रमण नामे श्री कृष्ण नमो रसने स्फुरी पुरालय मारयाशा श्री कृष्ण नमो रसने स्फुरी पुरालय मारयाशा शिरूपा पदे जाचे इहा भक्ति विनोद दास शिरूपा पदे जाचे इहा भक्ति विनोद दास नारद मुनि बजाय वीणा राधिका रमण नामे राधिका रमण नामे नामय मणि उदित होया भक्त गीत श्यामे नामय मणि उदित होया भक्त गीत श्यामे नारद मुनि बजाय वीणा राधिका रमण नामे राधिका रमण नामे राधिका रमण नामे जय राधिका रमण जय राधिका रमण 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 जय नारद मुनि जय नारद मुनि नारद मुनि जय नारद मुनि ठाकुर भक्ति विनोद ठाकुर भक्ति विनोद ठाकुर भक्ति विनोद निताय गौर हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल निताय गौर हरि बोल निताय गौर हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल निताय गौर हरि बोल गौर प्रेमानंदी हरि बोल
Hari
कृष्ण
Thank you, Nalini Didi. Jai Shri Shri Guru Gauranga Gandhar Vikakiri Radha Hari Juki Jai. Radha Madan Mohan Radha Govinda Radha Gopinatha Juki Jai. Nichilir Bhavishya Shishima Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Nichilir Bhavishya Shishima Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj Gurudev Ki Jai. जय निचिलिर भविष्य शिशिमा भक्ति विज्ञान भारती महाराज की जय जय निचिलिर भविष्य शिशिमा भक्ति वेदांत वामन गोस्वामी महाराज की जय जय निचिलिर भविष्य शिशिमा भक्ति प्रज्ञान केशव गोस्वामी महाराज की जय जय जगतगुरु निचिलिर भविष्य नमस्कार परमहंस परिव्राजक आचार्य स्तोत्र सदि शिशिमा भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती ठाकुर प्रभुपाद की जय Saparika Shri Prabhupada ki jai. Shri Rupanuga Guruvarga ki jai. Prem Sikha Ho, Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari, Shri Gopaktavinda ki jai. Shri Navadip Dham ki jai. Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopi Go Govardhan Dvarishvanatmaka Shri Brajamandal ki jai. Shama Kunda Radha Kunda Ganga Jamuna Bhakti Tulsi Devi ki jai. Shri Brajmanda Parikrama ki jai. Shri Damadamas ki jai. Kartik Vrat ki jai. Kartik Vrat Palankari Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Shri Vrindavana Dham ki jai. Raseshwari Brajeshwari Shrimati Radharani ki jai, Smagat Bhakti Vrinda ki jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnavinda ki jai. I go from the Hari Hari Bol.
Thank you so much, Navi Maharaj, for doing Jai Dwani so beautifully. And also
Radhe
Nalini
Radhe.
Didi. And Nalini Didi, as always, singing so beautifully. It just puts everyone in the mood. So thank you to both. And let's start our program. Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakya Chakshurumritam Yana Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Namo Vishnu Padaya Radhikaya Priyatmane Shri Mashra Bhakti Vedanta Narayana Namine. Namo Vishnu Padaya Radha Govinda Priyatmane Shri Marshila Bhakti Jivanacharya Namine. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prashtaya Bhutale Shri Marshila Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namine. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Vanchakalpatarubhisha Kripa Sindhubhya Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. First of all, I'd like to offer my humble obeisances at the lotus feet of my spiritual masters, Nitila Pravisht Om Vishnupad Stotra Sat Shri Mashila Bhakti Vedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj. At the same time, Nitila Pravisht Om Vishnupad Stotra Sat Shri Mashila Bhakti Jivanacharya Goswami Maharaj and Nitila Pravisht Om Vishnupad Stotra Sata Shri Mashila Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj. The entire Rupanuga Guru Varga, Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis, all the Maharajas that are here present and will be present later and in the past. Or just to say, firstly, thank you all for coming and joining and sharing a piece of your heart with us on this program, because it means a great deal, and especially things that you've learned from Srila Gurudev and our Guru Varga. So I just want to say, firstly, thank you to you all, and also thank you to all the devotees that have come and giving your ears so that these Vaishnavas can also express their hearts. And the more that we're listening, the more they feel inclined to give a little bit more and a little bit more, which is what the hope is. So today we will be going on our last day on program to Vrindavan Van itself, the forest of Vrindavan, where we will go to Nidhuvana, the temple of Radha-Ramana, Shri Radha-Gokulananda, and Radha-Gopinatha. And we're really fortunate today to have Srimad Bhaktivedanta Vekanas Maharaji, Srimad Bhaktivedanta Nim Maharaji, and Srimad Bhaktivedanta Tridandi Maharaj, who will take us to all of these beautiful places, some of my favorite places, I should say, especially Radha-Raman. So thank you and welcome. And I think Tridandi Maharaj is going to start, and then we will lead through to the rest of the group. Hari Hari Bol Dandavat Pranams.
Thank you, Yashodhari. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Gurave Gaura Chandraya Radhikaya Taralaye Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tara Bhaktaya Namo Namaha. Om Agnyat Mirandasya Gyananjala Shalakaya Chakshu Unmilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I'm first of all offering millions and millions of Dandavat Pranams unto the lotus feet of my most beloved Gurudev, Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Asto Tarasara Shishimad Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj. And I'm offering the same again millions and millions of times unto our dear most beloved Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Asto Tarasara Shishimad Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, and all our illustrious divine Rupanuga Guru Varga, and all the Vaishnava and Vaishnavi devotees of the Lord that are attending today. My Dandavat pranams to all of you. Vancha kalpa turubhyascha kripa sindhuvevacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. So as Yashodhari described, we've got a really saturated, beautiful parikrama today, saturated with transcendental pastimes, very powerful. These three Mandiyas and Nishanta Lila, or Nidhuvana rather. So yesterday we went to Bailvan and we discussed something of the distinction between Aishwarya and Madhurya. So we see now we've come into Vrindavan itself, and it's just, as I said, saturated with this mood of Madhurya, particularly the pastimes about the Ras Lila. So in Nidhuvana, this is the place where, when the Ras Lila has been completed, that they retire to this place in Nidhuvana, this forest. It's connected with Sevakunj, but the pastimes are always described in the Nishanta Lila period of the day. So before we really begin to describe the pastimes, it's good to understand something of the qualifications, so to speak, to hear these pastimes. So Shukadev Goswami, he's saying towards the end of the Rasa Panchadya, he's saying, Anugrahaya Bhaktanam Manusyam Deha Ashritata Tadrishi Krita Bhajate Tadrishi Kritva Yashrutva Tatparo Bhavet. He's saying that in order to bestow mercy upon the devotees, Bhagavan Sri Krishna manifests his human-like form and performs such extraordinary pastimes as Rasa Lila that anyone who hears about them must become exclusively devoted to him. So this is part of the reason that Krishna is demonstrating these remarkably intimate, esoteric pastimes for us to hear about and to purify the lust of our attraction to this material world. So we also hear at the very end of this 33rd chapter, the last verse in the Rasa Panchadya section, Vikridi tam brajavadubi itam cha Vishnu, Shradan pitu nushunyat artha varenyam ya, Bhaktim param bhagavati prati labhya karmam, Pridaroga masav apinoti acharina dera. So this is saying that if a thoughtful person, or sometimes it's described a sober person, meaning that he's controlled his senses, or he's beginning to control his senses, he understands that he has to control his senses if he wants to enter this arena of hearing these esoteric pastimes. If a thoughtful person regularly hears from his guru with faith the narrations of Lord Krishna's unprecedented rasa dance with the young gopis of Braj, and also describes these pastimes to others, he very soon attains para-bhakti or prema bhakti for the Supreme Lord, and is thus able to dispel the heart disease of lust. So my Gurudev described so many times that by hearing these pastimes, this is the antidote for the material contamination. There's one beautiful pastime, I'll just relate briefly, that in Boston, I think it was 1973, there was a house there and there was something like 32, 33 brahmacharis. And there were 3 brahmacharinis amongst all these brahmacharis. And springtime came around and the testonis were flourishing, etc. And the temple president became quite concerned because the brahmacharinis were feeling somewhat threatened by so many brahmacharis. And he wrote to Prabhupada, and Prabhupada wrote back instantly and said, you call everyone into the temple and you sit down and you read the Rasa Lila pastime from my Krishna book. So they did that. And it's described, my friend Budara, he was there at the time, it's described that all the problems seem to just dissipate. So this is the truth in the words of Bhagavatam, that if we thoughtfully hear these pastimes under the direction of the Mahabhagavats, under the direction of those realized souls, then some qualification can come to the speaker of these pastimes. So today we've come into this inner sanctum of Nidhuvana, where Radha and Krishna will come after their pastimes. So this is Nishanta Lila. So this is the Astakalya Lila. 8 Astakalya Lila. We have the Nishanta Lila, Prata Lila, Purvana Lila, Madhyana Lila, then Apuvarna Lila, Syayan Lila, then Pradosh Lila, then the Ratri Lila. 8 continuous pastimes during the day. And in this Nishanta Lila is so sacred for the devotees, because this is the time that devotees regularly rise and begin their bhajan, or begin their harinam, or begin their sadhana program. And this is the only time in the whole day when it's the mode of goodness, the Brahma Muhurta hour. So this meditation during this sacred time is on Nishanta Lila. Radha and Krishna are described in their closest embrace. Nidhu actually means washed off. Nidhuvana, it means all their decoration and ornaments, etc., have been washed off in their erotic pastimes in this place after the Ras Lila. So understand the Rasa Lila is just close by in Vamsivat, and they retire here at the end of the night, Nisha. And they perform these beautiful pastimes. There's a wonderful cottage physically there still today in Nidhuvana. We go there, and there's a big double bed in the middle of the cottage. We look through a lattice window, and we see many of the cosmetics, etc., that the manjaris will use to decorate Sri Radha and Krishna at that time. So this is a very intimate place, a most intimate place. And we hear these pastimes from our beloved Gurudev. It's described as Surata Krida, these amorous pastimes. So Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, he describes one particular incident at this time called Sapna Vilas. So Radha and Krishna are finally succumbing to rest after their love play, and they're sleeping. And in that sleep, Sri Radhika, she has a dream. She has a beautiful dream. And she's dreaming that she's hearing a kirtan. But that kirtan is not a Braj kirtan. There's something different about it. And that kirtan, she sees a wonderful person, and he's walking on the bank of a river, but it's not the Jamuna. And she's seeing that the sound, the beautiful kirtan, is putting this singer into complete ecstasy. Sometimes he's rolling on the ground. Sometimes he's even passing out. And he's calling out, Ha Krishna, Ha Krishna. Hey Radhe, Hey Radhe, Ha Radha. He's calling out like that. And Sri Radhika is bewildered. She's thinking to herself, is this me calling out Krishna? Or is this Krishna calling out me, to me? So she's bewildered. And she sees this golden complexioned Brahmin boy chanting in such ecstasy. And she feels great attraction for that Brahmin boy. And then she wakes up, her dream breaks, and she becomes a little shy. And she's speaking with Krishna. Krishna examines her face and says, oh, my beloved, what is it that is on your mind? What is it that is touching you now? He sees some bewilderment there in her countenance. And Sri Radhika, she begins to describe her dream. And as she's describing her dream to Krishna, Krishna's Kastubamani starts to shine. And Radhika, she sees within the Kastubamani the entire dream going on again. So she's amazed. And then Krishna says to Radhika, after he's heard the dream, he says, but I've showed you so many of my manifestations in different times. Why should you be disturbed about this particular manifestation? She's never seen Gauranga Mahaprabhu before at this time. So then Krishna, he smiles, and Radhika says that how can anyone understand the mind of a woman? How can a man understand the mind of a woman? And Krishna responds, this is true of everyone. No man can really understand the mind of a woman except me. Because at this time in this incarnation, I take your kanti and your bhav, your mood, you give it to me so that I can taste the specialities of your sweetness and of your separation moods. So this dream is very beautifully described by Srila Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur. And we hear this pastime at this place. So at this place, we remember going there with Srila Gurudev, and there's very small trees in this small kunj. And there was a time when we were with the Parikrama party, and he made us sit underneath all these small trees. Then we had to sit to actually get under the trees because they're all very small. And then Srila Gurudev, he started to tell different pastimes across the microphone and so on. So he took us into this very heart of Vrindavan to remember the speciality of this particular time of day. In Nishanta Leela, as I started to describe, it's when Radha and Krishna are in their closest embrace. And also, it's when they're going to be in their highest mood of separation simultaneously. This meeting and separation runs parallel throughout the pastimes of Vrindavan. So after this intense meeting, when all the other gopis have gone to their kunjas, etc., just Radha and Krishna are alone, and then they have a rest, and then they have to separate. Vrindadevi, she indicates to all the birds, etc., to start a wonderful orchestra to wake up the divine couple. And they're singing very beautifully, the birds and so on. And then she even indicates the cock to start crowing. And Shri Radhika and Krishna, they're in a very tight embrace. But Radhika can hear this cock crowing, and she doesn't want to be disturbed. And she says, oh, go to hell, to the cock in her mind. And then the cock stops crowing. And Radhika is thinking, did he really go to hell? But she doesn't mind. She just wants to remain in the embrace of Krishna. And then eventually the birds, they start chirping louder and louder. And finally, Vrindadevi, she indicates to Kakati, the monkey, to speak. And Kakati is saying, Jyotila's coming, Jyotila's coming. Jyotila means dawn. It also, of course, indicates Radhika's mother-in-law, Jyotila, who they're all very much afraid of. So when Radha and Krishna, they hear Jyotila's coming, then they immediately sit up in the bed. And all the manjaris come in, and they begin to dress them. Their hair has become matted together, and the manjaris come in very nicely and take the strands out of the hair and disentangle them. And there's very beautiful pastimes where the manjaris, they begin to dress Radha and Krishna. At this time, Sri Radhika is still in her mood of Swadhina Bhartika. This is the highest mood of the heroine, when she's controlled her lover. Radhika has been in Man previously on that same night, initially. But now she's in this mood of Swadhina Bhartika, where she controls her beloved. And Krishna is very compliant. He's in a mood of Dakshin Bhav. He's submissive and he's serving her. And they're decorating each other. And then finally the Sakis, they come in. And then there's so much joking, so much laughter, etc. And again, Krishna is gazing at his dear most Sri Radha. And again, the flames of affection and attraction start to rise in his heart. And then the Sakis, they quickly start to let the divine couple understand that actually now they have to go back to Jabat and back to Nandagaon. And this is a most heart-wrenching time. Radhika, she goes back in the company of all the Sakis and her manjaris. But Krishna, he's alone, going back to Nandagaon. There's no one with him. And the height of their separation mood is so intense. Krishna is slumping from one tree to the next tree, etc., in order to reach his home in Nandagaon. And Radhika is practically being carried along by all the Sakis. So in this meeting, at Nishanta Leela time, this period of the day when the devotees are most active in their sadhana bhajan, it's the highest separation and it's the highest union that we can reflect upon and meditate upon. And as I said initially, this is the Nitya Leela, followed by the other 7 other period praharas of the day. So in this time, the sadhak remembers these pastimes with great happiness and joy at their meeting and also at their separation. So this is a very, very beautiful meditation. So Nidhuvana is such a sacred, special kunja, a special forest where we can remember the Nishanta Leela, these Nishanta pastimes. And as I said previously, this all happens after the Rasa Leela. The Rasa Leela happens in the evening close by in Vamsivat. And then these pastimes happen towards the end of the day. So this is Nidhuvana, most sacred place. Also in Nidhuvana, it's described how Vishaka requested Krishna to satisfy her thirst. And Krishna, he immediately makes a kund with her flute, makes a well with his flute. And just like in Sevakunj, we have Lalita Sakhi's kund. Also here in Nidhuvana, we have Vishaka kund, or a lake, a small lake, where they could satisfy their thirst. Also here in Nidhuvana is the great saint Haridas. This is not the same Haridas that was born in Navadvip, Bengal, but this is the Haridas of Braj. And he, a great saintly personality, and he discovers this Bankabihari Thakurji in Vishaka Kund, in Vishaka well. Just beside that well, he discovers Bankabihari. It's a self-manifesting deity. So that deity is there residing in a temple. This personality, Haridas, was a great, great musician. He would play veena and all the forest animals would come and listen. And in the court of Akbar, which is close by, 60, 70 miles away, the great musician Tansen, who was fabled to be one of the greatest musicians in India, he came to have darshan of Haridas and listen to his music. He had to come completely incognito because Haridas would never play for anyone except the deity. And so Tansen, he became actually a disciple of Haridas. So these beautiful pastimes we hear about in connection with Haridas, this great saintly personality in residing in Nidhuvana. So today, this is we're so fortunate to come to this place in Nidhuvana, this wonderful small forest. It's not as extensive as Sevakunj. It's smaller. And actually, when we come in, there isn't all the cage protection that we have in Sevakunj. We have to walk through with some care because there are monkeys everywhere. And we come through the different cottages that are still there. It's a very, very beautiful place to have darshana. So we're most fortunate today, during the month of Kartik, to hear about these places to some degree and to remember this beautiful forest of Nidhuvana and to remember the pastime of Radhika's dream and to remember the intensity of the meeting and the intensity of the separation which is going to ensue after the meeting. So we have both the dynamics of meeting and separation in this kunj of Nidhuvana. So Nidhuvana kunj ki jai, Nidhuvana ki jai, gold Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. So now we're going very close by to Gokulananda. And we're going to hear Demos Bhaktivedanta Vaikanis Maharaj. He will speak on Gokulananda, the pastimes there. All of this place we're going today is all in the same area, so to speak. It's very, very close together. It's a very powerful, powerful place. So Gokulananda ki jai, Gold Premanande, Vanshakalpatarubhyascha, Kripa Sindhubevacha, Atitanam Pavnebhyo, Vaishnavebhyo, Namo Namaha.
Thank you, Chidali Maharaj.
Thank you.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry,
I,
I jumped
you know
in
what
too
I'm
soon.
going
I
to
forgot.
do? I should just stop emceeing. No.
I
Just
forgot that
realized.
you
I
like to
think
do a
better.
little thank you in between. So you go ahead.
I think I'm gonna stop. Maybe it's easier just to flow through. So Vaikanis Maharaj, please take over.
No, I overstepped my bounds because I was so eager to talk, about this place. So I don't want to step on anybody's toes, especially Vaishnavis. Anyway, so Agyana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurmilitan Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Guruve Gaura Chandraya Radhikaya Tadalaye Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tadbhaktaya Namo Namaha. Tvevasmi Najivami Tvayavina Iti Vigyaya Radhe Tvam Nayanam Charanandike Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namaha. So we begin and we offer our most humble obeisance under the lotus feet of our beloved Gurus, unto Sri Guru Pada Padmanitya Leda Bhavishta Om Vishnu Pad Asto Tarasata Sri Simad Abhaya Charanadavinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada and Sri Guru Pada Padmanitya Leda Bhavishta Om Vishnu Pad Asto Tarasat Sri Simad Bhakti Vedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj and all of our exalted Rupanuga Guru Varga, all the assembled Vaishnavas, Vaishnavis. So yes, now we're going to this beautiful temple, Radha-Gokulananda. It's an old temple. And when we first went to it, a very small area, temples then weren't like temples now, right? And especially Vrindavan, they had so many temples, 5,000 temples, Srila Prabhupada used to say. And so they're small little courtyards, facing the deities generally, because they would serve their little local area, right? And so it was old and a little run down when we used to go in there. There's a cobblestone area where we'd all sit and we would somehow or other cram in. And there we would see the deities that it's named Radha-Gokulananda as a name of the deities that were manifested by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur at Radhakund. So I don't know the exact details of whether he discovered them or what, but he manifested them and brought them there. Prior to that, however, the deities of Lokanath Das were placed there at the request of the devotees. I'm not going to tell the whole story of Lokanath and his deities, Vinod, Radha Vinod, because we'll be going to that place at another time. And that's Umrao, near Chetravan. It's a very beautiful, beautiful place. Big lake. Very quiet, villagers, so sweet. They feed us every time we go there. That's the place we go in, and they give us all these big brudge rotis and chach, right? All the rotis and chach you can have. And sometimes pickles come. And devotees, they relish it so much. And nearby is a place of Bakasura. And anyway, beautiful place. And all the pastime of Lokanath and his deities is there. But we'll just say that those deities were later requested to come to this place, and they were placed there. And also, Mahaprabhu had given Raghunath Das a special Shila that had been given to him that he had worshipped. Mahaprabhu himself had worshipped Govardhan Shila. And, he'd also given him the Gunjamala that he had worshipped, been given to him by another devotee. And Raghunath Das worshipped them as Radha Krishna. And then later they were placed there. During the Muslim atrocities, when they were collecting and destroying every deity they could find, many of these deities in Vrindavan were taken away to Jayapur, and the original deities were taken also to Jayapur. But now we have the Pratibhu, which are non-different. And when you go to that little temple, there's such a wonderful mood because so much history has taken place there. And when you read about Vrindavan, the way to really enter into the mood of Vrindavan is to hear the pastimes of Radha and Krishna, obviously, as Chaitanya Maharaj was saying, right, from that verse, Vikudidam Vrajavadubhiridam cha Vishnu, but also Tatparo Bhavet, right, by hearing these pastimes, one must. Actually, there's two meanings to that. He gave the meaning that through appreciation and the statements of the scripture, one is inclined towards worshiping the deity and worshiping Radha and Krishna. But for the one who has more advanced and come into Raganuga bhajan, just by hearing these pastimes, it immediately excites a great mood of joy and desire to serve. So whether one is in Vaidhi Bhakti or Raganuga, hearing these pastimes is inspirational and motivational, right? So this place is like that. And so hearing the pastimes of Radha and Krishna, but also hearing the pastimes of the great devotees who are following in the footsteps of Mahaprabhu, all of his eternal associates. Tishtan Vrajay Tad Anuragi Jananugami. Rupa Goswami says that we follow those devotees who are following the eternal associates in Vrindavan. Krishna's associates, Rupa Manjari, Rati Manjari, and all of Radhika's Astasakis and all the cowherd boys, they're followed and worshipped by contemporary acharyas. When I say contemporary, I mean anyone from the time of Mahaprabhu on. And their worship of the Brajbasis, we follow in their footsteps, right? We're following the footsteps of these devotees. And so when we study and hear about the pastimes of these personalities, it excites and inspires us. And when we go to Radha-Gokulananda, it's a really interesting way. We come into this courtyard from the side or the back, I don't know. And as soon as we come in, there's a courtyard, and there are three magnificent samadhis there. Samadhi of Lokanath Das, Samadhi of Narottam Das, and Samadhi of Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. Three extraordinary personalities in our line. And yes, now that's it in simpler times. Now everything has been brought up to a higher standard. The amazing thing is that by the influence, first of Srila Prabhupada bringing so many people, now in decades, recent decades, by the influence of Srila Gurudev and other Gaudiya Vaishnavas, so many people are coming to Vrindavan, and money is coming in so that these places can be restored and brought up to a very beautiful standard, as they were in more ancient times. But those three samadhis are extraordinary because there these personalities are residing. And when we go in there, we take their darshan and we can beg them for their mercy and for their inspiration and guidance in our own bhakti. They are there eternally to give us their association and guidance. And Lokanath Das, he was an associate of Mahaprabhu in Navadvip. He knew him from that time. And I believe Bhugarbha Goswami, I believe he's his uncle. And they were both very close to Mahaprabhu. And Mahaprabhu had first ordered them to go to Vrindavan. They were the first that we know to go from Navadvip. And taking that order on their head, they did go. And they had that same direction. Go and discover the lost, forgotten pastime places of Radha and Krishna. And along with that, any of the deities that had been established by Brajanab that are still there, that are unmanifest, somehow discover them, write books explaining the teachings of Mahaprabhu, and show by example perfect behavior, right, of a Vaishnava. Right? So they were the first to go. And Bhugarbha Goswami, we don't know as much about him, amazingly enough, but his samadhi is in that same area of Rupa Goswami's Bhajan Kutir and samadhi and that whole place in Radha-Damodar. And I know for years and years, I used to see that, I wonder who that is. All off to the corner there. Who's that personality? This is Bhugarbha. He was also very close and like a guru to Lokanath, right? And very, very Rasik, very senior personality. And he and Lokanath discovered many, many pastime places. And Lokanath was considered a very extraordinary devotee. When Rupa and Sanatan got there, they had so much respect. Lokanath generally kept to himself, right? He did his bhajan in a solitary way. But later, in later years, after the disappearance of Mahaprabhu, we hear about the Jiva Goswami took over the role of Rupa Goswami as the leader of the Vaishnavas in Vrindavan. But three extraordinary personalities came to Vrindavan. They were like, I guess, the second generation of the great acharyas in our line. And that would be Narottam, Srinivas, and Shyamananda Prabhu. And each of them have their own extraordinary stories of who they were in their early life, how they were inspired to come to Vrindavan, their travels on the way, their journeys throughout India, their time in Navadvip, in Puri. Amazing stories. Much of that can be found Bhakti Ratnakara, fantastic source to hear stories about Narottam, Srinivas, and Shyamananda. So Narottam, he's so important to us because up until Bhaktivinoda Thakur, nobody wrote so many amazing songs about his spiritual experiences at every stage of his life. And with so much deep, deep feeling. Two of the most prominent ones that we know, they're all in this amazing book called Prarthana. But Jayanilo Premadana, this song of separation from Vaishnavas. This was a song that we sing on the disappearance day of any great Vaishnava. It's so filled with meaning, and it was composed by Narottam on the occasion of hearing of the separation or the passing of his dear, dear friend Ramachandra Kaviraj, who was the brother of Govinda Das Kaviraj, the author of that amazing song that we all sing, Bhajahure Mana Srinandanandana. They came from a family of poets. Their grandfather was a great, great poet. And they were in that line. And there's an amazing story of how Ramachandra met Narottam and I believe it was Srinivas in Gaudadesh. Anyway, they were very fast. And when he disappeared, and then at the same time, Srinivasacharya, feeling separation from Ramachandra, also disappeared. And so he was stimulated to write this song of separation, not just from them, but also from Advaitacharya, from Mahaprabhu himself, from Rupa and Sanatan. And the feelings in that song are so intense. How will I live without them? I want to, dash my head against the rocks. It's a very heartfelt song. And Sri Rupa Manjari Pada. Interesting, because he did not meet Rupa Goswami directly. But through his association with Jiva Goswami, the only initiated disciple of Sri Rupa, he had direct connection with him, right? And so he was able to write this song that is so meaningful to us. We also don't generally sing that throughout the year, except again on the days of separation, on the disappearance of a great personality. Why? Because on his own impending separation, just before he left, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada requested that that song, Sri Rupa Manjari Pada, be sung to him, because now he was so much in the mood of rejoining his dear Rupa Manjari in the service of Srimati Radhika. And so, even though there are many qualified kirtaniyas who are known for that, who are prepared to sing, he requested Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Maharaj to sing that song. And so Sridhar Maharaj said he was not known for singing in a beautiful voice. He did not have a beautiful voice. But Saraswati Prabhupada said he had the mood that he wanted to hear in that song. So that song has to be sung very carefully with great reverence, singing for the mercy of the author, obviously, and of course Rupa Manjari, and so many other songs. And Srila Gurudev, he one time commented, though, when he was singing a song, and he said, is this one written by Bhaktivinoda Thakur, or is this Narottam Das? I can't tell sometimes who wrote which song, because when you compare the content and the moods of the songs, they're so similar, so extraordinary. Anyway, so who is Narottam? The story is that prior to the appearance of Narottam, and then now in that temple, because so many crowds were coming, they built a big hall in the back of that temple. And we were visiting there. Whose hand is rubbing over Tridandi Maharaj's face? Oh, that's his hand. Oh, what are you doing? Trying to poke me in the eye? Ooh. So, right, so they began to build a hall, and we went there at different times of its construction. But now it's completed, and it's very grand, very beautiful. And there's a big stage, and we'll all be sitting up there. And that can fit so many hundreds and hundreds of devotees. So it's very good for speaking there. That's where we go and have our kata. And so we like to speak about Narottam Das there. And prior to the appearance of Narottam, Mahaprabhu, Nityananda and others, had been bathing in the Padmavati River, right? Not so far from where Narottam place is, Keturi. And Mahaprabhu began to call out this name, Narottam, Narottam. And nobody knew a Narottam. And he called it with such love. And Nityananda Prabhu said, who is this Narottam that you're calling? And Mahaprabhu replied, in the future, not too far in the future, a great devotee will appear named Narottam. And he also said, Nityananda, your prem is so powerful. Don't you remember? And he mentioned some place they had been previously, and you were crying such tears of joy, tears of prem. I collected those tears, and I've saved them. And that has inspired me to remember this Narottam. Now, in the future, when he appears, and then he called the deity of the river, Padmavati Devi, and he said, I want you to know that in the future, this Narottam will come, and I want you to give him something from me. And this is, she said, what is it? That my own prem, right? The prem that Nityananda had expressed through his tears, and I want you to give him that, my Gora prem. And it's interesting because he had first invoked Nityananda's mercy, Nityananda being guru, right? Akhanda Guru Tattva, original guru in the line of Mahaprabhu, right? So even in this instance, I want you to receive this, but it's coming also through Nityananda. And when he comes and bathes in your river, I want you to instill this in him. And she said, how will I know him? As soon as he steps in your waters, your own moods of love will flow and expand, and your waters will overflow the banks. I said, okay, I'll hold it. So some years later, in this town of Kaituri, two brothers, sometimes they're called zamindars, sometimes kings. One had the son Narottam, the king, and his brother had a son Santosh. And Narottam, from his birth, was foretold to be the most extraordinary person. His complexion was golden, and from the youngest age, he manifested such a capacity for learning, but more than that, such an attachment for hearing about Nityananda and Mahaprabhu. And he wasn't interested in anything else, not playing with the other children, nothing. But he was always absorbed in deep, deep moods of love and worship. Right? And everybody in the town loved him. He was meant to become the king of that place. But still, even though these symptoms were manifesting to such an extent, oh, he's a young boy, he'll grow out of it. Then after some years, when he was about 12 or so, he had an inclination to go to that river and take a bath, pilgrimage, right? And he went there, and when he stepped in the waters, immediately the waters overflowed, rose up all around his body, and he was filled with this most extraordinary spiritual ecstasies. Gora Prem was flowing through him from head to toe, everywhere. He was just vibrating in the greatest ecstasy, connection with his Ishtadev, with Mahaprabhu. He had heard and worshipped, and now his feeling of connection and love was flowing through him in a way that had never been before. And as much as he had manifest devotional symptoms before, now he was completely transformed. Even his complexion was even more golden and more beautiful, because just like Rupa Goswami, who had that same complexion, he also now was Gora. And when he went back, everybody saw him in this extraordinary way. And now his mother became really worried, and his father. Oh, because now he was interested in nothing. All day just chanting and singing about the glories of Gora. Completely disinterested in anything worldly, right? And they thought, oh, if we don't watch him, he'll leave. Just like Raghunath does, right? And so they were watching him. And he was always thinking, how can I escape? I must go to Vrindavan, right? And, but he's being guarded. And then, by providence, one day the king of Bengal called for his uncle and his father to go and be with him. And so he thought, now's my chance. And somehow or other, some by hook or by crook, he figured out a way to escape. And he went by foot to Vrindavan. And he went, again, by back roads, through jungles, and he didn't even have time to eat or drink, and a very difficult travel. At one point, he fell completely exhausted and famished, and he had nothing to eat. And then that night, a beautiful golden Brahmin came with a special pot of milk and said, oh, my dear Narottam, drink this milk and be revived. All your bodily pains, all your fatigue, all your weakness, everything will go. And he drank it. And just like the experience of Madhavendra Puri, when he was given milk by a beautiful little cowherd boy, that same beautiful cowherd boy came in the form of the golden Brahmin and gave him this milk. And he was completely restored and energized and went to Vrindavan. But again, on the way, he had a dream where Mahaprabhu told him, when you go to Vrindavan, you have to seek out Lokanath Das, and he should become your guru. Right? So he went. And there's stories of how he arrived and he got the mercy of the Goswamis there, Jiva Goswami, Gopal Bhatta, so many were there. And he was admitted into the school of Jiva Goswami, but he wanted to take initiation from Lokanath Das. And he was encouraged to do so. Shiksha from Jiva and initiation from Lokanath. There's no difference. There's no incompatibility there. They're in the same line. And this is something we really have to understand. And by studying the example of the acharyas and the way they dealt with each other, the Shiksha, and Srila Prabhupada mentions this in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Shiksha and Diksha Guru are non-different. One who discriminates between them makes a great offense. But Lokanath Das would not give him initiation. He went to him and he said, "Oh Prabhu, I am most fallen and lowly. Please, I'm begging you to take me as your disciple." And Lokanath Das said, "No, you're the son of a king. How can you live in Vrindavan? What kind of austerities can you perform? And besides that, I do solitary bhajan. I've made a vow never to take a single disciple. There's so many qualified people. Go take initiation from someone else." But he'd received his order. And on meeting Lokanath, he felt such a strong attraction. This kind of guru, for this maturity in your bhajan, that guru, your Diksha Guru, is also your Shiksha Guru, also your Bhajan Guru, also in the eternal pastimes, your Saki Guru, right? Their connection went beyond the external. Their connection was deeply internal. And he felt it and knew it. And he couldn't accept anybody else. So he thought, at least I can serve him. But he won't let me approach him directly. So he studied and secretly followed Lokanath Das and saw that even though all day he was chanting and would not be disturbed in his bhajan kutir, at nights he would go into a secluded place in the forest to do his toilet, right? And so he thought, let me serve him in this way. And after he would leave, Lokanath would leave, he would take a trowel, bury that, clean the whole place, sweep it, cover it with fresh, clean sand, and sprinkle it with aromatic oil, and leave very fine sand for washing hands afterwards. This is how they do it in India. You take purified sand and cleanse yourself. And so Lokanath Das, he was deeply absorbed in his bhajan and wasn't really so aware of his external concerns. And so night after night, he would just go and do this. But finally, one night he realized, oh my goodness, somehow or other, this place is always spotless and clean and fragrant. And there's always fresh earth for me to use. Somebody's doing this. Who's doing this? And he thought, all right, I'm going to, because he's reluctant to take service, right? Vaishnavas, they want to serve. They don't want to accept service. And especially him, who had vowed not to accept disciples. So he hid nearby in the bushes after doing his business. And then sometime later, in the dark, he saw a solitary figure cleaning, sweeping, sprinkling oil, water, fragrant water. And as the person came out of that area, he grabbed him and said, oh, who are you? Who are you? And then as he turned his head up in the moonlight, he could see, oh, it's that same boy. And Narottam said, oh, Prabhu, I'm your servant. Right? Other than you, I have no shelter. You are my guru. I have to serve you. If you won't be my guru, I have to give up my life. And he meant that. And Lokanath Das, with his transcendental vision, could understand the purity and fervor in the heart of Narottam. But he was a little bewildered. He took a vow and he went to Jiva Goswami and he said, this boy Narottam, he's giving me some trouble. He's vowed, I've vowed never to take anyone else as a disciple. And Jiva Goswami says, yes, but he's vowed to take only you as a guru. And I think his vow is stronger than yours. You should accept him. And Lokanath Das, in an affectionate way, all right, I'll take him. And he accepted him as a disciple. And he stayed with him and served him very nicely at his bhajan kutir, sweeping, brooming, gathering water, collecting firewood, whatever required, and chanting with him and hearing Harikatha. And he's very happy. And then one day, a villager, farmer came by. It was a very hot day, and both of them were chanting. And the farmer came by and he went to Lokanath and requested him, "Oh, Prabhu, Baba, I'm so thirsty. Can I have water from your well?" But Lokanath Das was deep in meditation, deep in his Harinam, internal, did not acknowledge this person at all. And then he came to Narottam. And Narottam came out from his trance in a very soft heart. And this is a Brajbasi. He's asking for water. Let me serve him. And so he got them the water, and then the man thanked him and went on. Shortly after, Lokanath Das came out of his trance, and knowing everything, he began to chastise Narottam. He says, "What have you done? You have no realization of Harinam. Don't you know that when you're chanting Harinam, you are directly serving Radha and Krishna? You give up your service to Radha and Krishna to give water to an ordinary farmer?" Now remember, this is a Leela. And Narottam's idea is just a Brajbasi. And by serving Brajbasis, we're serving Radha and Krishna, but he's being chastised. And there's a lesson here. That Krishna, he is saying, is supporting all living entities. Whatever that farmer is meant to have, he will get. You did not have to give up your service to Radha and Krishna to give him water. This would have been supplied. You have no faith in that? You have no faith in Krishna? You have no faith in realization in the holy name. You're not fit to be with me. You should go back to Keturi, back to your village, and be there. Now that seems very harsh, right? But actually something else was going on at that time. In this part of Bengal, Janava, the wife of Nityananda, was seeing the decline of, not decline, the confusion about the teachings of Mahaprabhu. Just a few years after he'd left, so many different schools had broken off, Apasiddhantas, and she thought, we have to have the writings of the Goswamis so that the proper Siddhanta can be established. And so she sent a message to Jiva Goswami, please send these books. Now they should be prepared and ready. And at that time, Jiva Goswami was thinking, oh, my three special disciples, Narottam, Srinivas, and Shyamananda, they should go. But in order to release Narottam from his inclination to stay with his guru, he was chastised by Lokanath. But Lokanath, he chastised him, but actually he realized this boy has a very soft heart. And because of that soft heart, he can reach out and show compassion to all the living entities. He's not the kind of person who would be content to stay and do bhajan in Vrindavan. He wants to spread this mercy of Mahaprabhu everywhere. And actually that is the mood of our Srila Prabhupada. He said, I could have been in Vrindavan. I was very happy, but I was compelled by the mercy and the instruction of my Guru Maharaj. And Gurudev said the same thing. He could have been, but he felt that need to go and spread that compassion. So these Leelas conjoined, and then they were sent, right? And I'm going to just, there's some, I could talk for 3 hours about Narottam, but I'm not. I'm going to do 2 minutes more because we have so much more to hear. So then they went off. And then there's the whole story about how the books were stolen. But Narottam and Shyamananda were sent on while Srinivas went to recover the books. And Narottam went through Navadvip and met so many of the associates of Mahaprabhu, even at the house of Mahaprabhu, meeting old Ishan and Vamsi, Vadan, and Vishnupriya there. Anyway, there's a whole list of all the people he met, and they're all so happy to meet him. Then he went to Puri and got the mercy of so many there, including Janava Thakurani and Vasudha, the wives of Nityananda. And then he went to Keturi, and his brother met with his cousin brother, Santosh, who received him so happily. And gradually, the entire town was converted, and all became disciples, almost all, became disciples of Narottam. And then the grand conclusion of all of it, Mahaprabhu had inspired them to install 6 deities there. And so they decided to have a grand festival called the Keturi Kirtan Festival. And these deities were going to be installed. Santosh, the king, created a beautiful temple, created this gigantic festival area, created housing for all the guests that were to come, and invited Vaishnavas from all over to come to this festival. And there, under the guidance of Janava Thakurani, who was the head of all the Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis and was considered the leader of the festival, she was given a seat of honor and oversaw everything. This grand festival was established. And many things happened. They all came together. They consolidated the conceptions of Mahaprabhu into one, consistent theosophical ideology. And they installed the deities. And on the second day, they had this grand kirtan. And it was going on so amazingly. And then Janava Thakurani ordered Narottam to sing. And when Narottam began to sing, something extraordinary happened. All of a sudden, in the midst of everyone, Mahaprabhu himself directly appeared. Sakshat Darshan, right? And he appeared not by himself, but with all his eternal associates who had left, who were now apricot. And they danced in that assembly for hours. Can you imagine what that must have been like? Can you imagine if all of a sudden you're there and Mahaprabhu himself directly in front of you, right? Imagine if we were there and our gurus manifested directly before us. If Srila Prabhupada had come, or Srila Gurudev, or them and all of them, and Bhaktivedanta Keshavas and Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada, how would you feel? Right? It would be amazing. And then Mahaprabhu himself with all those associates. And they were all, can't imagine the transformations of prema and the ecstasies they're experiencing. And so that went on for a long time. Afterwards, everyone dispersed. And Narottam went on to perform so many extraordinary, there's so many stories, but we have to stop here. I'll stop here. And eagerly hear from Sripad Nemi Maharaj. All right, Narottam Das Thakur, Sri Radha-Gokulananda, Jai Lokanath Das Goswami, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, all the Sama Vaishnavas, Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol.
I don't know whether to say thank you to you now, Maharaj, or not. But I am going to say thank you because that was phenomenal. And actually, Gurudev would say that by just reciting the songs of Srila Narottam Das Thakur and Bhaktivinoda Thakur, we're basically reading the whole of the Bhagavatam. So it's non-different. That's what Gurudev would say. I think something like that. He'd say it was non-different to the Srimad Bhagavatam itself. So thank you, Maharaj. It was incredible. It's one of my favorite places to go to visit because it's so quiet. Hardly anyone actually goes there, and it's not a crowd or anything, and you can really just sit there and sit with all 3 of those Vaishnavas, and also Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, who's so close and dear to Srila Gurudev. When he did all of those translations, it was something that was so close to his heart, like Rupa Goswami Pad. So thank you again, Maharaj, for taking us to those locations. So now we'll have Sripad Nemi Maharaj take us to Radha-Gopinath, Radha-Ramana, even Radha-Ramana. So Nemi Maharaj, the floor is yours. Hari Hari Bol, and thank you so much for coming and speaking.
Hare Krishna. Om Jnanati Mirandasya Gyananjana Shlakaya Chakshurmilkanya Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srila Gurudev ki jai, Srila Bhaktivedanta Bharati Maharaj ki jai, Srila Prabhupada Gurvarga ki jai. Welcome, my humble obeisances to all to my beloved Diksha Guru, Nishila Pavishta, Shishima Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj, Srila Prabhupada, beloved Shiksha and Sannyas Guru, Rupanugavar, Shishima Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj, our Gurudev, Srila Bhakti Bharati Maharaj, my Shiksha Guru, all our Rupanuga Guru Varga, offering obeisances to all devotees present, especially my Sannyasi God brothers, Pujapad Chitanya Maharaj, and Pujapad Shri Bhaktivedanta Vaikanas Maharaj, and I don't know who else is there. Hare Krishna. So fortunate to have the association of so many devotees from all over the world in Gurudev Sangha. So I'm due to speak about Shri Radha-Ramana and Radha-Gokulananda, and I'm going to break ranks a bit. Already we heard about Nidhuvana, and Pujapad Tridandi Maharaj, he told us about this beautiful dream Srimati Radhika had, and Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur has perpetuated, recorded in his verse Shri Sapna, what's that? Pastime Nectar Dream, Amrit Ashtakam. And anyway, I have an English version of that in verse, so I'm going to. Radha said, "Beloved mine, tonight I saw a dream, and there I saw a river shore, just like Vrindavana here. Many expert dancers there, so much like our Vrindavan, and many drums and instruments for making music fine. And there, oh there, a Brahmin jewel, splendorous lightning gold, who tossed the whole of these three worlds in an ocean of pure love. Sometimes calling Krishna, hey, or Radha, where are you? Sometimes falling to the ground, sometimes crazy wild. Then in jubilation strong and overpowered by joy, he danced in blazing ecstasy with his beloved friends. Everyone within this world, from Lord Brahma to grass, was overwhelmed and drowned in praying. He made all cry aloud. As I gazed upon this jewel, my heart became confused. If he is you, beloved true, then where am I? And if that being is I alone, then where are you? Confusion deep came in my sleep as I beheld that dream. Krishna said, inquisitive girl, I showed my other forms, like Shrisha, Lord of Lakshmi, but you are not amazed. Why has this golden Brahmana surprised you in this way? Why are you bewildered and asking who is he? Speaking thus to his beloved, Krishna thought and smiled, then touched his friend, the Kaustubh jewel, who understood his mind, and glowed and showed those pastimes all that Radhika had seen with moving and non-moving beings within her puzzling dream. Beholding thus, Sri Radhika reflected for a while. Beloved, now I know your heart. I know what makes you smile. You are that very Brahmana. Now all is clear to me. I understand your words and thoughts. I think I'm also he. This Kaustubh jewel delights us, and you so have made him shine, and in this way you've shown yourself to all with life and breath. You will by your own power appear, display your pastimes dear, and you again will plunge the world in the ocean of pure love. The learned scholar Garga told the king of Brajadeer the perfect truth. You surely will with golden hue appear. This dream of mine is true and real, beyond a trace of doubt. There's no touch of illusion there. Directly I've seen you. The author Chakravarti Pad bestows this blessing dear. When like a bumblebee your mind will drink this nectar fine, your doubts will flee like shades of night upon the break of day, and sure and true Mahaprabhu will bring him to himself. You'll drown in praying and surely gain the grace of Brajaraj. I had to speak that even out of turn, excuse me. Today we're going to Radha-Ramana temple, one of the very, very famous and very, very dear, attractive temples in Braj. Radha-Ramanji he's the gallant hero of Vrindavana, actually. Small deity like this. Very magical and very mystical deity. So he appeared to Sri Gopal Bhatt Goswami. Gopal Bhatt Goswami, he's the son of Vyankat Bhatt Goswami. In South India, Lord Chaitanya came to Srirangam, and he stayed there Chaturmasya time. And here's Sri Radha-Ramana. Amazing, amazing eyes. I mean, amazing everything. So Gopal Bhatt Goswami, he dearly loved Mahaprabhu, served him. And after some time, he left home and went to Vrindavan. And on the way, he met with Madhusudan Vichaspati, who's a disciple of Sri Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. So Gopal Bhatt Goswami became very, very learned. And then he went on to Braj. Lord Chaitanya was so happy when he heard that he had arrived in Braj, and he sent his own sitting place and underwear also to Gopal Bhatt Goswami. So Gopal Bhatt Goswami in Nandaki Sacred River, he'd received Shila. You know, the Shilas there, they're just like on the ground, I mean, they're just waiting there. So he was taking bath and the Shila jumped into his hands and he put back, and again, same thing happened. So he took home. And he's worshipping the Shila, but he's thinking, oh, I want a form of Radha Krishna. I want a form of Krishna that I can worship, that I can dress, swing, serve, like all the other Goswamis, they're swinging. Longing and longing in his heart for this. And Nrsimha Chaturdasi came, Nrsimhadev's appearance day. It was a big celebration. And they're celebrating how Nrsimhadev, to protect the vow of his devotee and to protect his devotee, when Hiranyakashipu asked Prahlad, where is your God? Where is your God? Is he here? Is he in this pillar? Prahlad said, yeah, he's in the pillar. And Hiranyakashipu, I mean, more than kung fu, with his fist or club, he smashed the pillar. And then to protect the vow, to protect the statement of Prahlad Maharaj, Nrsimhadev appeared out of the pillar. Tremendous scene. Fighting with Hiranyakashipu, killed Hiranyakashipu. So big celebration in Braj, that Nrsimha Chaturdasi. Srila Gurudev loved it. So next day, Gopal Bhatt Goswami is praying to Shalagram Shila that I want a form of Krishna. I love serving you, but I want to serve you, as dress you, swing you, feed you, decorate you. You can appear out of a stone pillar to serve Prahlad Maharaj. So why can't you appear out of the Shila? And miraculously, Radha-Ramana appeared out of the Shila. And I'm told that if you get private darshan, you can actually see in his back, you can see the Shilas there. Self-manifest deity. Amazing. Absolutely amazing. I mean, what devotion. What devotion can bring such a gorgeous deity. Very, very powerful, devotionally powerful deity. Hypnotizing, enchanting, attractive. There's such a mood of service there in that temple. Something we've been directed to. There's such a mood of service there in that temple. They gather, they're singing for Radha-Ramana. He's got a whole tradition, songs, bhajans for him. And very beautiful bhajaniyas come every evening. All sorts of instrumentalists, singers. There's a wonderful mood there. Not such a big temple room. And deity is so small like this. So later on, so Gopal Bhatt Goswami, when Srinivas appeared in Braj, so Mahaprabhu had appeared in a dream both to Jeev Goswami and also Gopal Bhatt Goswami, telling them that Srinivas is coming, and told that Gopal Bhatt Goswami should give him initiation. So when Srinivas appeared, the first of the three, Vakantas Maharaj is told about Narottam Thakur. So before Narottam Thakur, Srinivas. And Gopal Bhatt Goswami, he dedicated Srinivas to Radha-Ramana. He gave him initiation. And then we've heard how they left. So after this, then Aurangzeb, the great Muslim tyrant, extremely envious. He was envious of the eminence of Radha-Govinda Mandir, especially. Even from Agra, he could see the lamp. There was a huge ghee lamp on top of Radha-Govinda temple. And he became so envious. So he sent his army to destroy Vrindavan and especially destroy Radha-Govinda temple. I don't know where he is now. Anyway, horrendous. So before that, Rajman Singh from Jaipur, he's Kshatriya king, a very warrior-like Rajput kings. So he came with all his army to protect the deities and take them to Jaipur, like Pujabha Vaikanas Maharaj said. But Radha-Ramana stayed because he's so small. So they're hiding him in a hidden way. And so he remained in Braj. And now to this day, so there's very special darshan, Radha-Ramana. Srila Gurudev especially loved Radha-Ramana very much. And once in America, he told the devotees there, right at the very beginning when he was touring, he said, if you don't remember anything else, just every day you sing Radha-Ramana Hari, Govinda Jaya Jaya, or Radha-Ramana Hari Bol. So Raman, it's very, the name Raman is very dear to Srila Gurudev. So he's explained, Radha-Raman means, Raman means pastimes, beautiful pastimes. So he's explaining that Radha-Raman means Krishna, who's performing very beautiful pastimes of Srimati Radhika, sometimes externally, sometimes internally. And he also explained that Krishna is a very powerful name, we know. So in Chaitanya Charitamrita, it said that one name of Ram is equivalent to 1,000 names of Lord Vishnu. Sometimes people ask that, how do you know that Narayan, you're saying Krishna is the source of Narayan, but we all know that Narayan is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and Krishna is an avatar of Narayan. But it's said in scripture that Ram's name is as powerful as 1,000 names of Shiv Vishnu or Narayan. And then 3 names of Krishna is equivalent to 1 name of, 3 names of Ram is equivalent to 1 name of Krishna. So, Radha-Ramana Hari. Ram in Hare Krishna Hare Ram, it means, Gurudev explained that. Ram there means Radha-Raman Krishna. It doesn't mean any other Ram. It doesn't mean Balaram. It doesn't mean Ramchandra. Certainly doesn't mean Parasaram. Only Radha-Raman Krishna. And we know, just like Pujabhat Madhava Maharaj wrote Ramana Manja Ashtakam. So if you have Radha-Raman Hari, so it's like Guru Saki in between Radha and Hari. Just like Rupa Goswami is described in Shri Chatuk Pushpanjali in the grove, like he's there with a necklace between Radha and Krishna, and they're quarreling about the necklace. And Rupa Manjari is in between the two of them. So Radha-Raman Hari. Then we have Guru Saki between Radha and Krishna in a very sweet situation. So Gurudev explained that, yeah, the name of Krishna is so powerful, more powerful than any of the, like Nrsimhadev, Ramchandra, but even more, we know that the name contains all the potency of the personality whose name that is. So the Raman name, Ramana Hari, is very, very powerful because there's so much mood there about association of Radha and Krishna. Shri Radha-Ramana Ju ki jai, Gopal Bhatta Prasani ki jai. There's you can see the temple room there, and then next to the temple room, just down the alley a little way, there's the actual place where Radha-Ramana appeared. I don't know why it's separate, but anyway, it is. And then next to that is Gopal Bhatta Goswami's Bhajan Kutir and his Samadhi also. It's a very beautiful, very sacred place, just down from Radha-Gokulananda temple. So Shri Radha-Ramana Ju Hari ki jai, Gopal Bhatta Goswami ki jai. Radha-Gopinath. So 3 functional deities in Vrindavan. Radha Madan Mohan, Radha Govinda, and Radha-Gopinath. Radha Madan Mohan. Madan Mohan is the deity of Sambandha. So we have 3 phases of bhakti: Sambandha, Abhideya, Prayojan. Sambandha means a relationship with Krishna. So Madan Mohan is attracting us from our material pastimes of material enjoyment into the pastimes of Srimati Radhika, Radha and Krishna. And then once he'd been attracted, then what? So Radha Govinda, then they engage us in service. Just like when we first came to the temple, or we first came into association of devotees, then when we were lucky, so the devotees actually engaged us in service, and that gives us relationship, it gives us engagement, it gives us a sense of belonging. It means we're part of the gang. So Radha Govinda, they engage us in their service. And as we're performing our service, Shravana Kirtana, Vishnu Smaranam, all these services, and gradually becoming purified. Nasta prayesha badreshu nicham bhagavata sevaya. Bhakti bhavati naistiki. Naistiki means nishta. So the nishta, ruchi, and at very advanced stage, then we can be invited by Radha-Gopinatha to. Gopinath is playing his flute at Vangshivat and inviting the gopis, calling the gopis, not just inviting the gopis, calling them, save me, calling them to rasa dance. So, when after Krishna disappeared, so Uttara was there. And we know Uttara is the heroine of Brihad Bhagavatamritam, the mother of Parikshit Maharaj, Radha-Gopinatha. Shri Radha-Gopinatha Ju ki jai. So they wanted to make deities like Krishna. So first of all, they made Madan Mohan, and she said, "Oh, his lotus feet are like Krishna's lotus feet." And then they made, manifested Radha Govind, and she said, "Oh, his face is like Krishna's. Govinda's face is like Krishna's." And then they manifested Gopinath, and she said, "Oh, his chest is like Krishna's chest." So this is the ultimate abode of the gopis, is Krishna's chest, being embraced by Krishna in this way. Radha Gopinath in Radha Kund, we see Radha on the left, no, Radha on the right, and on the left is an Angamanjari. So this was her request that I want to be in place of Srimati Radhika. So actually, Jahanava told the Pujari that make a deity and an Angamanjari and put on the altar like this. Gurudev. Jai Shri Gurudev. So Gopinath, Radha Gopinath, they're the ultimate destination. They're the ones who take sadhaks, those who are practicing sadhana, they take them into their family and accept them in their highest service. So highest service in this material world is service in Shri Rasa Leela. Rasa Leela is the most wonderful, beautiful, nectarian pastime in this material world, without compare, beyond compare. Srimad Bhagavatam, Sri Gurudev explained, Bhagavatam is like the body, within the body is the heart. The heart of Bhagavatam is 10th canto, because 10th canto describes in detail the pastimes of Krishna, Krishna in Braj, Krishna in Mathura, Krishna in Dwaraka, which had never been described like that before. So 10th canto is the heart of Srimad Bhagavatam. And just as in the body, we also have a heart, and within the heart, there's life airs by which the body is maintained. So there's 5 important life airs, very essential life airs in the heart, and the 5 essential life airs in Bhagavatam within the 10th canto. This is Rasa Panchadhyayi. It means the 5 chapters of Srimad Bhagavatam that are describing the different aspects of Rasa Leela. 5: meeting, separation, Gopi, and amongst those, Gopi Geet is the most, just like there's one main pran. So amongst those 5 chapters, so Gopi Geet is the most important. So this Gopinath is inviting us to the Rasa dance, and the Rasa dance is the most essential part of all the pastimes described in Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the highest of all the Vedic literatures. So Shri Radha-Gopinatha Ju Ki Jai. Shri Radha-Ramana Ju Ki Jai. Hari Hari Bol. Thanks so much to Yashodhari and Tarun and all devotees who are revived and maintaining this Bhakti Zoom. We're very lucky. Thank you so much for continuing this wonderful tradition. Our beloved Yashodhananda Prabhuji started this off and kind of whipped you all into line to get it going and keep it going.
No more.
And so thanks so much. It's great. It's a great blessing, actually, that something to bring devotees and Shri Gurudev Sangha together in this way, glorifying that Gurudev brought us to Vrindavan, so eagerly and enthusiastically shared the moods of Vrindavan, the moods of different places. He didn't just tell us about the places, but he introduced us to the places, introduced us to the moods. I remember Prem Sarovar having narrated that beautiful pastime there. He said, now offer obeisances. So everybody offered obeisances, got up. So now offer obeisances again with mood. So he's introducing us to the places, to personalities, to the moods, and like that, so eagerly shared. And so we're lucky that, we can hear from devotees who are with Gurudev, heard from him, and again, reminding us of Srila Gurudev's Harikatha and moods and all these beautiful places. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Nemi Maharaj.
Yashodhari?
Yes, Maharaj.
Maharaj will say a few words.
Yeah, that's not a problem, Maharaj.
Oh, just before he does, I have to go because of our program. But I just wanted to thank Sri Dandi Maharaj because we did so much seva together over the years, especially in Bangalore, and I have been missing him so much for the last many years. And because of this program that you've organized, we get to associate again in the best way. So thank you very, very much. Sorry, Shuddha Dwaita, you got to run. Catch you tomorrow. We got a temple program here. Okay. Thank you. Dandavats to all.
Jai Maharaj.
Jai Maharaj.
Jai.
That's not a problem, but I just wanted to say quickly before so that Dwaita Maharaj starts that Nemi Maharaj, it's really always beautiful. Last year we had the opportunity to go on Parigram with you physically at some places, and Vipin Prabhu was so happy. Yeah, he was in his element being around you, and Kishore Mohan Prabhu and Sudev Didi. So the places that we visited, Radha-Ramana, like you said, is really close to Gurudev's heart, but also the other places in like Gopinath, etc., which are three prominent deities, and we need to know within our lines what that is and who they are and why are they so prominent. So thank you, Maharaj, for coming and speaking. We're looking forward to having you continuously on this program as much as we can, and hopefully I'll do a better job. But now we will hand over to Shripad Bhaktivedanta Sadwaiti Maharaj, who will add some more nourishment to our Harikatha that we've spoken today. I will also try and find a picture of Gopal Bhatta Goswami's Samadhi Mandir so that you can see that also. So Maharaj, are you ready?
Yes, he's ready. Go ahead.
We can double hear you. We can double hear you.
Most things disappear.
We're waiting for you.
Your face
I
ID.
try to make more sound, but the whole thing disappears.
He's just trying to fix the phone. One second.
Oh, maybe come on yours, Maharaj.
Come on, talk on this one.
Yeah, and if we close the Dwaiti Maharaj's phone, so there's no double noise. Yeah, perfect. Okay. Haribol Maharaj. I'll change the name temporarily as well, so people know.
Panchakalpaturvyasta kripasindhya vachapatitanam pavanvyo vaishnavibhyo namo namah.
What's wrong?
Mukam karoti vachalam pangamangayate giri yatripam tamam vande Shri Guru Dilatarinam paramamula madavam parendra vadanam harim. So obeisances to my dear friend Nemi Maharaj. So happy to hear you.
Hare Krishna.
I thought I would meet you in Braj, but somehow you're not coming.
Somewhere
So I just wanted to choose some of your remnants. You know, in Radha-Gopinatha, you were mentioning how Radha-Mata, you know, she actually was responsible for like a renewal of Vaishnavism, because after Mahaprabhu left, all the prominent, you know, members of the Panchatattva especially, they all, you know, went, you know, inside. And then she organized, you know, like a second wave of the renaissance of Vaishnavism. And when she came to Vrindavana, you know, she, you know, was very attached to the deity of Gopinath especially. And when she was, you know, towards the end of her life, then she actually manifested the deity of herself and told the pujari, you know, to install that deity. So they were quite hesitant. How can we install that deity inside? But the pujari was told by Krishna himself, Gopinath himself, no, she's actually my very dear Ananga Manjari, her eternal identity. So you should put her on my left side and put Radha on the other side. Actually, Radha-Mata, when she came, she was thinking that the deity of Radha was not, you know, equal in size to Krishna. She was much too small. So she asked, you know, in Orissa to carve deities and to match, you know, the size, because they were really completely outmatched. And then her own deity actually was put on Krishna's left side. Usually, Gurudev told us Krishna always has Radhika on her left side, because the left side is the side of the heart. And Gurudev always revealed to us that, no, Krishna's peacock feather is tilting towards the left, towards Radhika's lotus feet. Now, it wants to bend down at her feet. So Ananga Manjari, she's little is known about her, because now, you know, although we belong to that line, no, we have not so much information. There is a wonderful book called Shri Shri Ananda Manjari Samputika. We have Prem Samput and the Ananda Manjari Samputika, which gives a whole wealth of details about her. I had a chance, you know, to go through it last year when I was here in Vrindavana during Kartik. And it explains more, you know, about her identity. We always hear that Lord Balaram, he wants to, you know, serve Krishna at all rasas, right? And then that he also becomes Ananga Manjari, but he doesn't become Ananga Manjari. Actually, his Shakti becomes Ananga Manjari. And in this Ananga Samputika, actually it was written by Sri Ramachandra Goswami or Ramai Thakur. He was adopted by Radha-Mata herself, and she gave him Diksha. So he wrote that book, and then I think the third verse of the book, it says, actually, you should consider that Krishna, Balaram, and Radhika, they are one tattva, but taking different forms. And actually, if we know that we're not polytheists, we don't worship many gods. We know that Balaram is Krishna's first expansion, but it's not a different tattva. No. And Radhika, we know that she's Krishna's, you know, internal potential or Swarup Shakti, and the Ladini section of Swarup Shakti. So actually they're one. Of course, we cannot say, because some people say, actually, Balaram is Radharani. No, that's going too far. But in essence, that it's a tattva, the same tattva, Bhagavan, Advaya Gyan Paratattva, the non-dual substance, which is in different forms. So one form is Krishna, one form is Balaram, and one form is Radhika. And Radhika, her younger sister, Ananga Manjari, is actually non-different from her. The difference for us is that, and why we're not Ananga Nugas, is that Ananga Manjari, she has a double passport, so to speak. She's at the same time a Saki and at the same time a Manjari. We know that she has her Kunja in the middle of Radhakund, right? And Bhaktivinoda Thakur has, you know, spoken so much and glorified her so much, saying when he was staying at that little kuti, Svananda Sukhada, which is, connected to her. So she's actually the female potency of Lord Balaram. Sometimes he says Balaram's rati is Sankula rati, congested rati, because he wants to serve in all the rasas. So he's the elder brother. So there is the element of friendship, Saka, but also element of Vatsalya as the elder brother. But he's not content to do that. He also manifests the whole Dham and makes everything for Krishna's service. And Krishna's service means Krishna's pleasure, right? And he also manifests his female Shakti in the form of Ananga Manjari. So when we say Balaram becomes Ananga Manjari, then if you think about it, in Siddhanta, it doesn't hold. No, because she's Shakti Tattva and he's Vishnu Tattva, so they not belong to the same category. But his Shakti is his female potency is Ananga Manjari. And she has this double passport, like I said. In one hand, she's a very dedicated follower of Radhika. She does everything according to Radhika's desire. Sometimes Radhika wants her to go and enjoy with Krishna. So she's not doing it like we know. The Manjaris heart is complete self-abnegation. They have no desire whatsoever for their own personal enjoyment. They only want Radhika's enjoyment. So sometimes for Radhika's pleasure, Ananga Manjari will go, will invite Krishna in a kunj, and then they will have ras there. And this is described in detail in the Ananga Manjari Samputika, but actually quite amazing. I remember, for instance, when Krishna came out, usually Krishna is bluish, but there was a golden effulgence about him. And the manjaris which were inside, there were a few manjaris which were allowed inside. Like this is service of the manjari, even to go into intimate pastimes. They said, yes, this is effulgence of Ananga Manjari, which was combining with Krishna, and it's still there. So it is not that Ananga Manjari is enjoined with Krishna. Radhika, in the form of Ananga Manjari, who is not different from her, is enjoined with Krishna to give Krishna another special taste. So we cannot have access to that because she's Saki and Manjari, and we're told by Gurudev we cannot go beyond the position of Manjaris. No one can become a Saki of Krishna or that kind of Saki which is called a Manjari. But Gurudev also explained to us, and that Ananga Samputika or Manjari Samputika confirms that the Sthayi Bhav of the Manjaris is to Radhika. And the attachment to Krishna is a Sanchari Bhav. But the Sthayi Bhav, the main thing, for everyone, Krishna, the Rati is with Krishna. It's called Krishna Rati. But in the case of the Manjaris, the Bavulas Rati, special Rati, is a Sthayi Bhav to Radha. There's the only one, the only category of beings in the whole existence which have a Sthayi Bhav connected to Radhika, because they're not different from her. They're like expansion of herself. Not exactly like the Kaya view has Sakis. They're in another category, but they're also non-different. We know that Radhika expands to please Krishna in so many forms. There is I think in the biography of Narahari Chakravarti, in the line of Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, he's in Vrindavana, and suddenly, he enters into a trance. And in that trance, he sees his father, who was a disciple of Vishwanath, taking him by the hand, puts him at the feet of Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, who puts him at the feet of his guru, then at the feet of the Goswami. The Goswami offers him from Goswami to Goswami. Finally, Rupa Goswami puts him at the feet of Nityananda Prabhu. Nitai puts his foot on his head and says, anyone who doesn't respect my Gora, he can never enter our Sankirtan party. Then he offers him at the feet of Lord Gauranga. And then Gauranga suddenly manifests to him as Radha Krishna combined, and is witness of an amazing conversation that Krishna is telling Srimati Radhika that I will come back again in the material world, and then I will take your moods and a new carnation, and I will be rolling on the ground in ecstasy. And she said, stop, I can't even tolerate the idea. Your body is soft like butter. Even a new leaf makes a mark. How can you say that you'll be going to rolling on the ground? I cannot. Oh, I will come with you. When you'll be rolling on the ground, I'll be under so that you don't suffer any pain. And then she said, but let me ask you a question. Why do you want to bother yourself with the emotion of a half-crazy girl like me? This is the mood of Srimati Radhika. This was her humility. She tells Krishna, why you want to take my moods? I'm a half-crazy girl. Why you want to bother yourself with that? No. And meanwhile, no, Brishbasis are crowding around the devotee in trance, and everyone is saying, oh, Prem is alive again in Vrindavan. Prem is not gone. Again, look, all the symptoms of Prem are there. And he's coming out of his trance completely like crying and rolling on the ground. But he has this wonderful darshan that Radha and Krishna speaking together, and Radhika in her humility says, why you want to bother yourself with my moods? I'm a half-crazy girl. That's her humility. So this Radhika, she doesn't think that she's able on her own to please Krishna. Therefore, she manifests, like we mentioned the other day, unlimited forms, Kayujuas and others. Now, if I'm not mistaken, in the Jeva Dharma, it is mentioned that some of the female form, Gopi form, also come from Balaram. No, some come from him and some come from Radhika. So he's also, I suggest, I speculate that this refers maybe to Ananga Manjari and maybe her followers. But her followers are also not so much distinct from Radhika, because in that book also it says Ananga Manjari has 5 men, friends, Sakis, Rupa, Rati, Guna, Mani Manjari, they're all Rasa Manjari, they're all intimate friends of Ananga Manjari. And when she enjoys with Krishna, they also participate like that. So it opens the door to another dimension. And then some details, I don't know if I should get into that, but when they come out of Ananga Manjari's Kunj, the gopis are asking, we want to know everything which happened. So Ananga Manjari, she's very shy. And then they ask Krishna, okay, she doesn't want to say anything, but okay, you tell us. He said, Radhika insists, I want to know what happened. And then Krishna says, look, you don't like me to tell what happened between us. So why do you want me to tell what happened? But if you want to know, this is what happened. And Krishna starts to describe the intimate leelas he has with Radhika. And Radhika said, why do you say that? I said, actually, what happened between me and Ananga Manjari is no different from what happens between you and me. It's exactly the same. There is no difference. No. But the Manjaris insist, the Sakhi says, we want to know all the details. We want to know, not only, you describe, Leelas with Radhika. And Radhika tells Krishna, look, please don't embarrass me. All those girls, in front of you, they won't say anything, but they're all mukaras, very sharp tongues. As soon as you'll be gone, they start to tease me so bad. So please don't embarrass me. So Krishna asked permission to Ananga Manjari. What can I say? I don't want to embarrass you. I'm asking you permission. And then she says, okay, say, you can reveal something, but don't put me to shame. So Krishna starts to say, actually, she served me in such a wonderful way. She served me as a Manjari, completely dedicated, anticipating my own desires. I didn't have to tell her anything like you have to tell a kinkari, a maidservant. She served me perfectly. And I am so happy with her. And then he starts to glorify Radhika. Actually, no woman likes to share her beloved. But Radhika, your sister, she's so willing to please me that she even shared me with you. So this is some little glimpse of that. I mean, it's a whole long katha. It's like there's a big fat book like that. So I just wanted to share some of that. And closing with one story. Once they are back in the spiritual world, after the Leela, Srimati Radhika asked Krishna one day, okay, when we were on the earth, in the material world, how deep was your love for me? Krishna answered, yeah, it was unlimited. Oh, then she starts to say, if it was unlimited, why didn't you marry me? No, you saw my parents arrange my marriage in front of your very eyes. I, as a girl, couldn't say anything because it's not common for a woman to say anything in those matters. But you were there. You could have said something. And you know what Krishna answered? He said, marriage is between two persons. How can I marry you? Because we're not different from each other. That's why I couldn't marry you. You marry another person, but we're one being. Hare Krishna.
That was very, very enlightening. And something that we don't often get to hear, actually. So thank you so much, Maharaj, for it's kind of specifically speaking about Radha-Gopinatha and Radha-Kund and Ananga Manjari that is placed there. It's really important for us to know these little intricacies as we develop in our sadhana and bhajan. And so you described that very, very beautifully. Any of the Maharajas that are there, just to kind of give a better understanding to those devotees, because we know that Radha Govinda is for Rupa Goswami, is Rupa Goswami's Thakurji, and Sri Madan Mohan is Sanatana Goswami Pad's Thakurji, or manifested Thakurji, how when they came. But we don't hear so much about Madhu Pandit's actual background because his deities are Radha Gopinath. So if anyone has just like 2 minutes of time to just explain who is Madhu Pandit, and because that's his deities and we worship them.
From what I understand, he was a disciple of Paramananda Bhattacharya, who one morning when he went to the Jamuna had cut a bank, and then one beautiful deity appeared, which was like buried like in the deep in the ground, and that deity was Gopinath. So that Paramananda took it off and he entrusted it to his disciple Madhu Pandit, who then did the Seva Puja. And then we have this beautiful samadhi, very large circular samadhi just outside Radha-Gopinath. That's I remember in ISKCON we used to sing a bhajan for all the different deities, and they say when we were at Radha-Gopinath, Madhu Pandit Prandana Hen, Madhu Pandit gave it life, but we don't have much detail. Maybe clearly Maharaj.
No, I don't know. Just that much detail.
That I know. I'm sorry for my ignorance.
No. It's thank you for even that, because it's important for us to know at least who's Thakurji they are. And also, like Nityananda Prabhu said, that his Tulsi Kohl is still in Jaipur. They've preserved it very beautifully in a case there out. So when you go to Jaipur, when you get to see the deities of Radha-Gopinath, they're so beautiful, and you get to have the darshan of his coat. I think it's his coat with his hood. It's very, very, very nice. So thank you again to all of the Maharajas for coming and speaking on this wonderful program. We learned so much about the places, our last places in Vrindavan, before we start making our way outside of Vrindavan to the other forests. So tomorrow we are going to be going to Madhuvan, Talvan, Kumudvan, Bahulvan, Chandra Sarovar, and Peta. So normally this is the day that we are traveling from getting on the buses from Gopinath Bhavan and working our way into Govardhan and moving into Srila Gurudev's temple there. And in between all of that, we start stopping in these various places to take darshan of these wonderful forests and pastime places. So tomorrow we have, I think it's Sripad Bhaktivedanta Chandi Maharaj, Sripad Nemi Maharaj. I'm presuming Nick Vekanas Maharaj and Sadasik Maharaj will also be joining and speaking something. So tomorrow we also are very fortunate to hear from. Oh, sorry, yes, Nemi Maharaj won't be speaking, but Nemi Maharaj is speaking throughout the rest of the week. So we will see no marriage again. So we're very, very lucky to have him rejoin us. So yeah, we will end now with Kirtan, and then we will see you all tomorrow, same time tomorrow. As today, you'll get a notification on the WhatsApp group. Please join, please share, please send to people that don't have the association to or aren't able to go on physical breakground. Hari Hari Bol, Vancha Kalpatrusha, Kripasim Bevja, Patlanampa, Venebio, Vaishno Vibio, Namo Nama. Anant Prabhu, are you ready? Oh, you can't unmute, right?
Hare Krishna, Dandavat pranams to Shrindi Maharaj and Nebu Maharaj, Shrila Bhaktivinoda Shrila Advaita Maharaj, all the devotees. Just gonna finish with Gopinath's Kirtan, Mama Nivedana Shuna. Gopinath, Mama Nivedana Shuna, Gopinath, Mama Nivedana Shuna. Vishai Durjana Sada Kamarata Kichunahi Mura Guna Gopinath Amara Bhara Sadhu Mi Gopinath Amara Bhara Sadhu Mi Tomara Charane Laino Sharana Tomara Kinkarayami Gopinath Kemane Shodhi More Gopinath Kemane Shodhi More न जानी भक्ति कर में जड़ा मती पड़े ची संसार घोरे गोपीनाथ सकली तोमार माया गोपीनाथ सकली तोमार माया Nahi mama bala jnana sunirmala swathina nahe kaya Gopinath niyata charane sthana Gopinath niyata charane sthana Mage pamara kandiya kandiya karahe karunadana Gopinath Tumito sakali para Gopinath Tumito sakali para Durjanitarite tomara shakati ke ache papirayara Gopinath Tumi kripa paravara Gopinath Tumi kripa paravara जीवेर कारणे आसिया प्रपंचे लीला कोइले सुविस्तार गोपीनाथ आमी की दोषेर दोषी गोपीनाथ आमी की दोषेर दोषी असुर सकल पाइलो चरना विनोद थाकिलो बसी जय राधा गोपीनाथ राधा गोपीनाथ राधे जय राधा गोपीनाथ राधा गोपीनाथ राधे